All right. Hello, and welcome to the Hull Salt Book Club live show for January and February. Very delayed and almost didn't happen again, but we are here now. Special thanks to Nicole, our guest star, who
thank you. Thank you for giving me fireworks. I feel so welcome.
How did you do that?
It's a Mac thing. It's like I'm not on my Mac right now, but there's
the thumbs up does it.
I do not have a Mac.
Amazing. So today we're going to be talking about our two books for January and February. So the first one is January was Masquerade by Sangoyomi. This was a book pick that rolled over from last year because I had actually picked this at the end of last year. We just didn't get around to it. And then our February book was The Truth According to Ember by Danica Nava, right? Is her name? Because I don't have it in front of me. Yes. Yes. So, which is a romance book that we did for February. So we will start with Masquerade and then get to The Truth According to Ember. So, and Mari is here in spirit. She had a migraine, so she got taken out. But she gave us a few little notes so we can also have her opinion because she did read both the books. So, and so her thoughts deserve to be heard. But yeah, so hi, I'm Sam. You're on my channel, so you should probably know that. And I gave Masquerade. Keep going back. My heart says a 2. Am I paused or are you guys? Okay, I'm good.
No, you're
my internet might be real wonky, so just know that. My heart says a 2 overall, but there were parts of it that were 3, so maybe it's like a 2.5. I wanted to love this more than I did, tragically.
Hi, my name is Connor. My channel is just Connor O'Brien, but I'm Connor booking it everywhere else. I pulled it up on Goodreads. I gave it a 4. But in my brain, it's a 3.5.
Okay.
But then maybe, I don't know. And I said this before when we were like kind of chatting about it. I was like, as time goes on, I kind of like it better.
Okay.
So yeah, a book that sits well in your feelings.
Yeah.
I'm Jordan from the Jordan Journals, and I forgot that I had to rate this book. So I feel like I feel like a 2.5. I feel like I will not remember anything about this book in a week. Like, once we have this conversation and I can dump it from my brain, it will be, yeah.
Be gone.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm Nicole from Sweeney Says is my channel. And I go back and I'm really similar to Connor in that like been back and forth like 3.5, 4 stars. And I feel like 4 stars, like it has grown in my feelings. And I enjoyed it while I was reading it. But like when I think about, I would say on the whole, this book has some high highs and like a couple of low lows. But when I think about the totality of the experience, it's like the highs that have sat with me. So I'm 4 stars. I'm committing. I'm gonna lock in.
Meanwhile, I'm the opposite.
For context, did you guys do audio or did you read it? Because I read it physical copy.
Audio. I did the audio.
I did tandem.
Same.
Okay, tandem. Interesting.
I
think that's an interesting point.
I think I relied a little bit more on the audio than I did on like physically reading it.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, Jordan, the same. Okay.
I leaned more audio, but I was like following along in the book too, so that I could see the words that were being pronounced and like try to remember.
There's somebody in the comments saying that the audio switching to the audio book was a
better move.
No, it was an upgrade. That's really interesting. I'm so curious about that.
Yeah.
I did like the narrator.
Yeah,
the audiobook narrator maybe made it more immersive. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe.
Interesting. For context, Mari DNF'd it. Couldn't do it because felt like the premise was good and wanted to like it, but the female main character was kind of baffling and the plot of it all was too repetitive. So Mari may or may not be in the comments too, and she will share as we're going through, but probably not because the light is going to hurt her eyes. But those were her overall thoughts. Which kind of mirrors what
she's going to be having thoughts and like wanting to
speech to text. Say this.
Yes. Exactly.
I feel like a voice memo. She's calling in.
Please relay this. Yeah.
Yeah. This is why when I have thoughts that I need to She is a thought daughter, so
for mocking your pain in this moment.
no worries.
What is it? Gen Z does?
No, we can't do that. No.
I'm old.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Jordan, I love that
Pretty.
you'll have effects this entire time. Amazing. All right, so let's start with just main character, because it seems like the main character is probably one of the more polarizing things, and I do feel that this book is very character focused, and it really, like, if you don't resonate with her or you find her baffling, it's probably going to be harder to read. So Adodo, what did we think of her as a main character?
I understand. So in spite of like my overall feelings about this, I understand why she is polarizing. Like that's not actually like, I get that. It is not a thing where I'm like, this was great. And if you disagree, you're an idiot. Which sometimes is how I feel. I think that it is actually was one of my problems with the story is there's an inconsistency in her characterization where they lean heavy on how naive she is, but also it is like plot significant that she's a like political strategist of some kind. This was my thing where there so like they're like the highs that had some highs and lows to it. This is why I struggled so much to rate it. But I like that was sort of problematic, but I appreciated the ways in which she I don't know. I found her characterization frustrating, but I also felt like I wasn't super baffled by her. I don't know. Yeah, the fact that she both was naive and a military savant was like, okay, pick a
lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
that
not
was
even that,
definitely my, go ahead.
Oh, but not even that the book was long enough that we spent enough time with her to like watch her develop into that either. It's just like she was, and then she wasn't, and then she was, and then she wasn't. I don't know. Yeah, like she, even like the starting of her getting kidnapped and taken away, and like I don't know, it was the inconsistency.
Yeah, and I think that like a part of what it was going for was that like this society like never listens to women, and so like she's like the first woman that was able to like crack into this male dominated governing body, or like, you know, weasel her way and like speak into the king's ear or whatever. But again, she was like good and bad at it equally. Like some situations she was horrible at it, and some apparently she's the best. That was she was hard to, and that was like, it was hard to read her with that whole situation because she like, I don't know. And then she was like overly trusting, and then like never trusted anybody for certain things. And it was
The inconsistency there was a little like baffling. It was a little bit baffling. I don't. Yes.
Yeah.
I know. We'll get to this later, but I feel like that's, and I could be like misremembering, but I feel like that is very similar to Persephone. Like, isn't she both naive and also like a hand to Hades?
I think that's what she's like. I think that might have been what she was trying to get at, was like, so Persephone is taken when she's still Kore, which is like a spring goddess, and perceived as young, right? Like she's like a maiden archetype, but then when she's Persephone, she's more of like a mother, you know, what made in the whole maiden mother crone idea. So she's like sort of older and coming into her own in those ways, and so she has like sort of dual personality. So I can kind of see that. But also it's like what I would have preferred instead of this like flipping back and forth was just like a natural progression of it. And that making more sense, or this even felt like it could have been like more of a duology, because it felt like there was things that were so rushed. I was like, oh, can we have more of this? Like maybe the end of it ends with like the first book would end with her in the fire or whatever. And then coming back from that and turning into like just being pissed. She rises from the dead, kind of. We have this like that kind of idea, and then she becomes this like powerhouse kind of thing, and that would make the end make more sense, because I loved the end, like her doing what she did at the end. But it was like, who is this? And
but also it was so like,
well, okay, see,
fast.
Yes, to all of that except for the who is this of it all. Like that I follow how we get her there. Like that actually, to me, the ending felt too abrupt just because I don't buy everybody else in the room behaving in the way.
And everyone also, that's a big part of it.
We get the seeds of that. We get her sort of gradually being like, wait a minute, I don't think I like wow, things are working for me. This isn't great, and I'm gonna give him a chance to do right by me. He didn't. Okay, like that's all fine. I just felt like the everything about this society is so openly misogynistic, and also like the sort of caste system with her as a blacksmith, like the ways in which she is doubly othered and like whatever by this society, to then have that whole room be like, okay, I guess you're queen now, was like a little bit. I mean, all of the men who agree because she has this like military behind her, sure, but I don't get how the military come immediately. It's like, well, you did go to battle with us one time, so I guess you're queen now.
Yes,
like,
and blacksmiths are supposed to be witches, and
which also wasn't entirely fleshed out, like as like where that. I mean, I get it where it came from, but it also felt like a plot point that was like a little wonky to me. But like it was the people in the room, and it wasn't that I didn't trust that she could get there. It was again like the timeline crunch, because right before that she had the whole thing where the mother betrayed her again. And you're just kind of like, girl, that happened 20 and like maybe not like, well, fuck everything, but like if you hadn't even had that again, that reminder had happened again, I would have been like, cool. But it's like we still didn't have enough time between when that naive thing happened again, which this woman has already betrayed you numerous times, and then this, it was just kind of like, girl, like which is why I kind of feel like it would have been better to have like 2 books, because it would have been like a longer timeline of like maybe that happens again at the beginning of book 2 and it's her final fucking straw, and then now she turns into like very, very like harsh. It just felt like another flip that was like too fast. And like you said, the biggest thing being like where everyone suddenly is like, oh yeah, we're gonna just listen to her. It's like, what? Like that doesn't really make sense.
Where I feel like I don't feel like it's out of character for her, where I follow her getting to that point, is the like an undercurrent of the whole thing is her being like, no, I'm taking my circumstances into my own hand. Like even after she gets taken, and once she realizes what's going on, she's like, oh, well, I'm not fucking going back there. I don't want to do that again. So I have whatever, dog. Let's look for my mom, but I'm not going back. And then even her mom is like, she finds her mom. She's like, great, you're do this. And her mom's like, no, you're going back. Absolutely not. No. So to me, the idea, I do buy like in that, like to part of this woman's character is like, is a willingness to take her circumstances in her own hands. So I don't know, her coming to that conclusion isn't that wild to me. And even like her being naive, but then also her being this like strategist. The problems that I had with it is more the way that the strategy showed up in like military capacity. Like that was the stuff that like didn't make sense to me. But the idea of her sort of realizing the power that she has by talking to the women, and like that she can sort of feed into like that stuff did like that tracked, like that made sense with like the position she had previously occupied in society, allowed her to be someone who observed all of that. It's just that there were like a few too many like things tacked on that I was like, well, okay, now you did too much.
Like the effectiveness of like, again, buying the fact that like she would be somebody who wants to like try to take more agency for herself, but then the effectiveness of being able to do that, like her effectively having this military plot that worked. It's like, how? Or like, the effectiveness at the end, or like someone was saying in the comment, like when she found the weapons in the clothing and was just like, must be nothing. Like some of these things where like these things don't align. So it would almost, again, one more time in the timeline for her to like learn from some of these naive things, or like like maybe not be so good at some things so that there's some like fuck ups and learning to where I'm like, okay, now it makes sense that like some of these things were so effective because there's been like time for them to be effective.
Yes.
It was mostly like the condensed, because this book is not even that long. It's like what, 300 and something pages, like
Just barely
220
over
or something?
300.
Yeah, and so it's like there just wasn't a lot of like time to sit in some of these things, and it did feel like there was a lot of like juggling of different things,
Yes.
whether it was with her character, some of like the world building that was a little bit too jumbled.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts about her as a character? No. So the husband, the Alafine is Eremo. Again, I didn't listen to it, so I don't have all of the pronunciations, and there's not a pronunciation guide. But him,
Mhm.
what do we think of that guy?
I think he was.
I was,
He was.
so confused about. I say this, but I was so confused about how the book wanted us to feel about that guy. Like, I felt like it was being pulled in a bunch of different directions.
Like, were we
So,
supposed to
thoughts?
like him? Was he supposed to be a villain? Was he like? Should we have felt bad for him at any point?
I mean, not
I-
feel
I-
bad, but
all-
like, are we supposed to pull for this romance? Because there was times
Right,
maybe
like I
we're
said.
supposed to be pulling for this romance.
Right, like, is this them being like a super couple and like being like a duo together working on things? I felt like it was all of those things, but not necessarily any of them like super successfully.
I think we got to where the author wanted us to get, because
Mm.
at the end of the day, yeah, he might have treated her better in some circumstances, but he like literally kidnapped her.
Yes.
Yes.
So like bad
Yes.
action on the forefront,
Yeah.
and then like throughout, he's like doting on her, whatever, but he's still a bad person. He's like doing bad things, treating women horribly, treating her horribly, and then he is got some like cognitive dissonance that he subscribes to on an hourly basis, because he's like, yeah, she loves me, but then he does all these horrible things to her. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this moment is sweet, but in the grand scheme of things, like everything he does is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
that is real. Like that.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I feel like the net conclusion is like, yeah, this guy sucks.
Mhm.
But like, this guy sucks. He deserves what he got. Hell yeah. Kill him again. Like, but I also, I don't know. I feel like the thing that you are supposed to feel is an understanding of what is going on. I mean, I don't know what you're supposed, like, I don't know. The thing that I was feeling was that I fully understood what like Adodo's attempts to reconcile like her whole thing here is she does not want to go back to the life that she had. The life that she had sucked. She does not want that. And there's an opportunity for this other better life. And you know, like you make it work. There's a lot of like self-gaslighting going on there. A lot of her being like, no, this is great. And I love this man. I have never known a man. I don't actually know men literally at all, because I grew up with the blacksmith, but this man will maybe let me have a better life. So I think this is great. Like, and it's not that he is at any point actually a great dude or actually treating her well, but it's like, it's the things that she is taking on to say, okay, I think I can be on board with this. I can like get excited and commit myself to this life, until eventually she's like, no, actually, this is trash.
It's almost like the freedom of being with him, like she gets more freedom from being with him than being the single woman in her blacksmith little community. And then when she has the opportunity to be a widow, she like, I have lots of freedom.
What I think also with him is that like he is more than happy to go along with whatever some other thing told him to do. He's like, oh, I'm supposed to love this girl. And so that's like what he's like, okay, yep.
It was in my dream. It was in the real prophecy.
Yeah.
So
and it's like, okay, society tells me, and the gods have apparently told me, I'm going to take her, and she's going to love me, and I'm going to love her. And he's like, that's it.
And also, like, he's like he's like a terrible leader, but like I'm the one, so like clearly I'm good at this because I'm the one who's in the, you know, like all of that sort of delusion tracks too.
He sucked.
Yeah. I think it was also just like I think that like the narration of, or like her internal dialogue about it, again, I totally get that it was like trying to convey this like, well, it's a better life than the life that I had. And so but there was still some things about like the ways in which it was written that I was like, is this supposed to be a romance? Like just certain like sort of and maybe that was part of it, to be like, well, it's supposed to be like a little bit confusing, like, is he good or is he bad, whatever, even though it was like very blatant that like he was a bad dude. But there was like certain ways that lines were phrased that I was like, this is being written like it's sort of a romance. Like, is the romance gonna come out of like in my like again as I was right, which is also like, and I do wonder again from an audiobook perspective, like, did she say some of these lines and the narration differently from how my brain read them? So that it was a little bit more obvious just with inflection or something, because there were times where I was like, what? Like even when she goes and gets him at the very end, like when he got trapped or whatever, and she like says something about like her world being completed now that she's in his presence again and whatever, and I was just like, okay, that's more than just being like, this is a guy that allows me to have more agency, or this is like a situation that allows more agency. Like it was this like, whatever it was flowery enough to be like, you know, I am now complete within his presence or whatever, which again, and then right before she's going to kill him. So it was just still like a timeline smushing thing that I think was a problem. And from a Hades Persephone perspective, it was like, I think something about that, like, and this is very loosely inspired. So again, this is not saying that this is an entirely Hades Persephone myth. It's not. But generally speaking, Hades is seen as a Greek god that was like kind of chill and fine and like good at his job. And so to have a character who's supposed to be like the stand-in for Hades be like actually awful and like a bad leader, like people pretty much will say like, hey, you can have whatever feelings you want to have about the Hades Persephone relationship in myth, in fiction, whatever. But there's different interpretations of that. But like Hades is like good at his job. And so like for him to be so much of like bad at his job, I was like, dude, you can't do one thing. But also I get that it wasn't exactly a one-to-one. What I did like,
I also feel like there's a whole other conversation to be had about how many interpretations you can have about myth. But that's like
yes.
That's a different live show.
Yes. But the other thing that I did like about him, just from a personality perspective, was him being the only one that could talk to the mean elephant. I loved it. I was like, this is so funny. And then like how she at the end, that was actually the only change that I believed, was that the elephant listened to her. Everyone else I was like, I don't get it. But when the elephant was like, I'm also gonna like bow down to you, I was like, correct.
That makes sense.
The elephant will be doing that.
This is in line with my beliefs about this. Yeah. But yeah, the elephant stuff I thought was cute.
Yeah.
Except for when they killed the elephant.
That was traumatic.
Yeah.
That was not
That
cute.
was less cute.
That was upsetty.
I didn't like her at all.
That was too detailed.
I also just broadly liked the world in general. Like I enjoyed the setting. I enjoyed the writing too, just like the prose. I think that also is maybe a big part of why that's like a thing. I will forgive a lot if I feel like the basic, like the writing is strong, which I feel like it was here. So, you know, I don't know. I feel like we spent a lot of time shitting on it, and I read this book, so I've gotta
I've spent a lot of time shitting on it. You guys have been fairly balanced. I've been like, I wanted to love this. This was like one of my most anticipated books of the year. Like I was like looking forward to this since I heard about it. So like there were, again, I think that there's parts that
but you're also a Hades and Persephone girly too. So there's a lot of like that it had the bar. You know, it was anticipated, but it also you had high.
I didn't even know this was supposed to be one until like after I'd finished.
It wasn't. So
I never made that connection while I was reading it.
Yeah, it's not Hades and Persephone. It's based on the Persephone myth specifically. So like it wasn't supposed to necessarily be like them, because so I didn't go into it with that. But I was more like that's what I liked about the end, because the Persephone characterization that I like is that Persephone is a boss bitch.
Yeah.
And like
I was gonna say that.
Doing.
I liked at the end was her taking control and taking over everything.
Yes.
and not like the
Yes.
two of them trying to do something together.
I wanted
I like
another
that.
chapter. So as much as I feel like I didn't feel like the ending got the setup that it deserved, but I don't actually think that you needed. I actually think that you could have resolved that with a like an additional chapter, like of where you're sort of bringing some context of like literally any contact that her and the general have had, like any like something else to give us to like get us there, and then some sense of like what happens after that moment.
Yeah.
Now that like I don't know, I was like, wait, that we're not done. What do you mean we're done?
Like
I thought it was
feel
the first book in
ended
the
up
series.
here, and like we didn't have any resolution. There was no like come
Right.
to
It was just
something
like
afterwards.
the climax of the story,
done.
and it stopped.
Murder done.
Yes. So she could love
I mean,
the end.
What else was there to say? That man was
Yeah.
murdered. That's what really mattered at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it would have been nice to have like a
Still
little bit
your
of an
dictator.
end to it. It would have been nice to even have something where it came back around and was like, actually, she's plotting more this whole time. Even that would have been more fine to me. Like they're just being a little bit more upset. Someone said this, and it's blowing my mind. Is the elephant supposed to be Cerberus? I think it is.
I was gonna say that when you talked about the mean elephant. I'm like, is it Cerberus?
I didn't even get it. I think it is Cerberus. I think the mean elephant is Cerberus. That's so
Cerberus.
funny.
Incredible.
Okay. Anyway, so two characters ish.
Yeah, she gets the country because she's not a homophobe. Exactly.
That's exactly what happened.
Ally.
Well, right. Okay, so someone was like the chemistry with the general. Was there a different general other than the one that was gay?
No, that's
like,
the one.
Okay.
Isn't it? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like the
I
main
think that's
guy.
the
one that
And yeah, because
she,
he
like,
because she
convinced-
understood him.
She convinced the
Yes.
king to like allow him to like go try to save his partner.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. But yeah, like as far as some of the core politics, I think some of that also was interesting, like that stuff, that sort of plot line with the general. I would like to have known more about the blacksmith like culture. Like why did they decide like, oh, they can work metals, but like it was one of those like interesting, like, okay, this culture seems pretty like established and technology for the time, right? And then it's like, oh, but the blacksmith workers are witches. And it's like again, like pick a lane. So yeah, there was a little bit of about, I wish we could have heard more about that, but what did we think of these like other side characters or other sort of like political court intrigue points?
I was very shocked that the other wife is not actually who she said she was, and that she was like impersonating somebody else, and that the other, we don't actually know like what happened to like the actual first wife, or like that character we like never actually meet. I was like, wait a second. That kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I expected her just to be who she was and also a traitor. Well,
yeah. I mean,
correct.
I mean, obviously, but like she's right. Like she's
right.
Yeah.
Justice for her, justice for like that friendship. I feel like, man, I'm sad that woman didn't get to know that he dies in the end anyway. Tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
I mean, those are the main ones. I mean, we should probably talk about the blacksmith that lives in the capital city.
Or the
And,
mom.
Like the girl, the younger girl.
The girl who like just assumes all these things about her and like starts a revolution around her.
Yeah, just like casually starts a revolution.
DG?
Yeah. And yeah, assuming also like there being, I think that was an interesting thing too, that like the revolution was started, which is kind of how it always goes. Like it's not actually based on the people, it's about like the myth created around them. And like even the mom was like, I just
gotta look at my daughter.
Walked away. She was like, I was trying to find this. I wasn't like actually rebelling or anything. Now we all taking it as this like rebellion. But yeah, like that actually being how a lot of these revolutions do start.
Yes. I mean, it's like, what is personal about this? Like, that's the thing is at the end of the day, like there is something innately personal about what is happening. And that is the thing that's driving people. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I I also feel like it actually tracks and makes a ton of sense that you have this a class of people who is in fact essential to the functioning of this society, that the society also denigrates. That
Literally
tracks.
happening right now.
That tracks.
Yes.
I know about that
Yes.
because I have eyes.
Yes. Yeah.
Have eyes.
So, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, and create
Yeah,
this
society
whole, like,
does do that.
lore around them.
Right. And why they're
And like, and it's
evil
like
and
how you, that's like the how you square that with yourself, that we both need what they do and also don't want to
like
actually
them,
respect them, don't like them, don't respect them.
Yes.
They're witches. Like, yeah.
and that does connect to like the spinster idea of like spinster was a name for unmarried women because a lot of women who didn't get married were people that spun yarn because they could make individual money for themselves. And so a lot of those people didn't get married. And so then it started becoming like, oh, spinster, it's a bad thing. It's a not wanted thing. When really it was like, oh, women found out a way to be independent.
Right.
And also we need them because we need clothes.
Yeah, right.
Correct.
And like, so yes, the whole thing. But yeah, I liked the like even making the flowers that she did, because that was another sort of like Persephone flash. Like Persephone was stolen from a met flowers, specifically they're asphodels. But you know, daffodil for like the area she was in, whatever. So there was some like I did like some of the ties to Persephone, because you do like, if you know kind of thing, but it also wasn't something that was so obvious. It's like you need to have this background information, but it was like nods to it.
Just little winks, little
yes, very loose.
yeah,
very loosely based. But yeah, what did you think of the mother-in-law boy mom of the year?
Oh,
really sweet boy mom. Really the pinnacle of
the
boy mom.
fucking worst.
She wanted to be married to her son.
Yeah,
she did.
She sure did.
She sure did.
She was real upset that
worst.
she couldn't do that.
Yeah. She was the worst. I hated her the entire time. True villain of the story. I hated her more than the husband. Like, I was like, this woman is awful. Just because, again, boy moms. But also that
she
that
fed
made me
all
mad.
his delusions too.
Yes.
Like, he might not have been so bad.
Boy moms make men worse.
Yes.
In fact. It's a cycle. But I think that was the other part that made me like super frustrated with Adodo, is like, it was like, this woman is so obviously heinous that the two times that you fell for her shit, it's like, girl, I can believe the other ones. Like, I can believe her being like, my friend is not trading weapons, like whatever. But this woman who has been heinous to you is nice to you twice, and you fall for it both times. Girl,
come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like, what are we doing?
Trusting. Trusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I mean, that happens all the time.
Sure.
It's
I
like,
don't know.
okay,
if
like,
my
your
mother-in-law was like nice, I'd
but
be
you're
like,
also isolated. You don't have any friends.
Yes, she's think about, and like
You have
she's
no
been
support system.
isolated her whole life. She's always been isolated. Like, so
yeah.
So like,
because
you
her
don't have
mom didn't like particularly like
no, her mom
dote on her or care for her.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like it all makes sense, because like, I don't know. I mean, I see people on TikTok all the time talking about their awful mothers-in-law, and then they still give them chances, and they always are awful.
not me.
It doesn't ever change.
Awful.
It wouldn't be me.
But you also
I'm just like, I don't understand. Stop inviting that woman to your house. Like, it's crazy. All right. Anyone else that we haven't touched on, or any other points about Masquerade before we move on to Ember?
I'm just a big fan of when the title is like, oh, that's why it's called that. And they had that scene where the masquerade, like the
with the masquerade.
I was like, got it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would like it to be a little bit longer. That's my only.
Yeah. A little bit longer.
A little bit more.
She had good bones. I would say she had good bones. It's just I didn't prefer the meat of the rest of it.
There was.
The bones
How did you feel? How did you feel about
meat.
it as it's? This is her debut. So like,
Yeah.
you didn't like this. Is it you didn't like this and you don't think you vibe with this author, or you didn't like this but you'd be really curious to hear what she writes next?
I would read what she wrote next. Yeah. Even if she wrote more in this world, I'd be like, cool. Like,
Tell me more. Do more.
solid.
Give me a little bit more.
Someone
Yeah,
did
for a
mention that
debut, I think it's solid. It's fine.
there's that that one general. I forgot about him. That like once are dead, but like
Oh,
is
sure.
incredibly attracted to her.
That's
But
true.
Didn't she went? She won
the
him
really
over
pretty
because
guy?
of someone. Yeah. Didn't. Oh, but then she like
She didn't win
was
him
nice
over.
to his brother, and then he was like, "You stole my brother." Patriarchy. Bullshit, right?
Was she nice to his brother?
think
I don't
so.
remember the meta
his
story.
younger-
I don't care about.
I think his younger brother comes to town, and she like.
I remember the brother. She won over the brother because, like, the younger brother that replaces him, because he got murdered. The pretty guy that was mean
Mm-hmm.
killed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
by
then the
general
brother
that's gay.
came.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the brother
Oh,
came
that's
and she was
right.
able to win
You're
him
right,
over
you're right.
Win over the brother. Yes.
because
that's
he's
correct.
different and also pretty,
Mhm.
or the son or something. I think it was a son.
I don't know.
Son.
Somebody.
It was a son. It was a son, not a brother. Yes.
But I was also like, again, I had moments where I was like, is she gonna fuck that guy, the really pretty guy? Because she was talking about how beautiful he is. Who is this man? So I wasn't sure.
in the missing chapter, the additional chapter that we should have gotten but didn't. That's
Yes. Yes.
I think
Yes,
for her, a next book from her, it would depend on like what it was.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
like, are we getting more in this world? Are we getting like another loosely inspired Greek myth and like an African setting? Like what
Mhm.
what are we doing? That would kind of depend on if I read the
Would
next
be
book or
the
not.
defining. Yeah.
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 Nice. Okay. Thank you for the contribution from the dog squeaky toy.
That's
I
the
thought it
final
was a
note.
puppy.
That is
That was
her
her?
making that noise. Yes, that's her.
Incredible.
She is
What a
talking to me.
baby.
I won't
Oh
play
my
with her.
god.
Perfect little baby.
That's so funny.
I
She
took
sounds
her
so much
chicken
smaller than
away.
she actually is. Oh my god. Okay.
No.
Moving on to The Truth According to Ember. Thoughts. I will say Mari. So Mari's thoughts on The Truth According to Ember. I think she said 3.5. And very solid, good romance. She's a mess, but she's my mess. And also, white people shouldn't be the only ones allowed to be messes in rom-coms.
Mhm.
So that was overall. I gave it like a 2.
Wow.
I-
You didn't like
I-
the voice though, right? Like the way it was written.
I don't like mess. You guys know this. I hated that
Yeah,
character
that's
that Jordan like the character that was a hot mess that we read from Jordan's book that she like whatever. I don't like
Finley Donovan.
messy. Yes.
I
Oh
love
my
her.
gosh,
I still
she
think of
was
her.
Ridiculous.
I still think of her. I can't. So no one's allowed to be messy. Actually, like it's not white people or like people of color. It's like, girl, stop lying. So anyway, we'll get into it.
Incredible.
But I loved I liked him as a character, but I also didn't, because she was so messy. I didn't really get how they were attracted to each other. But we'll go into
you
it.
were like,
But yeah.
I like him
Two.
and I want better for him.
I do. I was like, why is she lying about everything?
Wow.
Yeah, it was a
Okay,
rough.
okay.
It was a rough one.
Okay.
So.
I ended up giving it. Well, I actually haven't rated it yet, but I gave it a 3 when I was reading it.
Okay.
I would say probably like a 3.5. I enjoyed it. The compulsive lying was a little uncomfortable for me to read. I was like, why are we like the most mundane things, like I have a boyfriend named Ron, or I'm not allergic to cats. I'm like, why can't we just be honest about those? Like those
And
are not
still
necessary
lying.
to lie about.
And still lying when he catches the lie. Like when when she was like snotting over the cat, she was like, I'm not allergic. And he's like, woman, you are allergic. Like I just
Like,
like, I was just
no.
like, you are a grown woman. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
It's so messy.
This is like a confident 4 stars. I was like waffling on Masquerade because I had the mix of like high low. I love a mess.
Yeah.
I love mess.
I
I
really
love
do think this is like
my mess.
it's how you feel about Ember is like the
Yeah.
main driver.
Yeah.
of
I mean that's
everything.
true of most contemporary.
Romance for
yes.
sure.
To me, I honestly like 4 stars is actually impressive because I don't really like contemporary romance. Kind of like 4 stars is actually as high as like I would give a contemporary romance.
So really, it's a 5.
Like, I don't do 5 stars
the-
for contemporary romance.
If
On
we're
the
scaling
adjust-
it,
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, yeah, she lied about so much stupid stuff that she should not have lied about. But the thing is, like, the whole thing is just that her circumstances suck so much.
Yeah.
And she is so like
neurotic,
drowning in it, and that like she can't very much just like cannot help it. Like
she has no chill. No chill about anything.
Zero chill.
It is just frustrating.
Just
it's absolutely frustrating. I do not disagree with you. It is deeply frustrating. You're just like, why? I want to sit her down and I want to make her stop. But also, like, she's like what, like 22, like
25.
Oh, she's 25. Whatever.
25.
I don't
the
know.
Frontal
if she were
lobe is
22,
developed.
if she was 22, I'd probably give her a little more grace.
More of a pass.
I'm like, girl, you're 25.
Sure.
Lying about being allergic to cats?
While you're actively
why?
sneezing. While you're
I mean,
sneezing.
I feel like the thing is though, once she starts lying, she's like on high anxiety. Like that's the thing for the whole time. Yeah. She's constantly like, no, I'm not allergic because I like cats. Remember I told you?
I would have loved if there was a therapist in this book.
100%.
Well, then there's no book. There's no book.
No, because people that need therapy will ignore the advice.
Sure.
So like, so that would have been so like, because then she'd be like, okay, I know I did it wrong, and then like
I'm gonna
she
stop.
can confront it and then do it again.
That's sure.
That's
or
basically what she did though. Like when she was crawling under the stuff at the bowling alley to like avoid him, I was like, get up, Ember. That was like at the beginning. I was like, I need you to not like pretend that you're in this bowling league.
Told us how disgusting it is. Get off the floor.
Get off the floor, Ember. Like I just can't. Yeah, I think the thing again there's a couple things that I think the reason this didn't work really. It's not like I would be like never read it. It's just like didn't work for me. Is I don't love that there was the relationship that was basically like founded on many lies. Like he knew that she was lying for a lot of them, but also like she kept lying to him. And for the like majority of their relationship, I didn't really know what like attracted like them to each other. Like I mean, obviously he's really hot and whatever. Yeah, but I don't really get what he was necessarily seeing in her.
I was into that.
Yeah. Like
I fear that might.
I don't get. Yeah, like the fake version of her. The fake version of her or the real version of her, I don't really either one. I don't really get what was like attractive about that. And I also have realized after reading this, I don't like an office romance. I don't like even Rivals like any of it though, but like when they were like having sex in the copy machine room, I'm like, you have to stop. Like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah,
I do very strongly. Yes, I very strongly agree with you on that.
I was like cringing the entire time. Like this is like you are grown adults that know you can get in trouble. Like in the CEO's copy machine room.
Again, she's 25.
We just talked about how you're going to be professional. Like you're going to be professional in the office place, and then you're going to go have sex in the copy room. What are you doing?
But we don't want to be caught. We don't want to be caught knowing everyone knows we're dating. Then maybe don't have sex at the office. Like I
would agree.
It all falls apart. And I don't want to hear about office. Like, I don't like a romance at the office because I'm like, I do not want to hear about work. I don't want to hear about the office politics of it all. I don't want to hear about this old racist CEO. Like all of the things that I know were essential to the story just were like, I don't like this kind of romance actually. So that's a lesson for me to be like, do not read any office romances. You're gonna like it. But I didn't know that until this point because the only other one I'd read was that one that everyone likes.
The Haiti King?
Yes. And I also hated that because that one's bad. But I think the office of it all.
I watched the movie with Lucy Hale though, which was
I didn't even know that they came out with a movie.
Yeah, it's exactly what you expect it to be when you're scrolling through Netflix and you see Lucy Hale and you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, what?
Is that the girl from that
Pretty Little Liars?
Yeah.
Pretty Little Liars, yeah.
Okay.
Why are you barking?
I was just like very confused why he was so okay with her blatantly lying so much. Like he didn't outright ever call her out. He was just like, okay, I see you, and I'm not going to say anything. And then he was just like, you caught her. Her eyes were swollen shut.
Sir, she has lied to you from the first time you've met. Like,
Yes.
the entire time. So I just feel like there needed to be, like, I know there was a consequence at the end. That was what split them up, whatever. But I'm just kind of like, what did you guys have a foundation of?
Yeah, okay, but the thing is, like, all of her lies are coming from a place of her circumstances being bad, and like, there's a way in which, and that is like part of it. Of he gets that, of,
Like, he understands,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know what this is. And then eventually,
What was that?
What is going on?
no.
I think it's Jordan's, like, she's gonna get a something. There's like an echo.
There's like an echo.
I can stop. Okay, there we go.
Jordan's like, I'm sorry.
The dog is being a lot.
No, it wasn't even the dog. It was just like the robot noises.
The
like,
robot
you know,
noises.
because
the stream got
yeah,
possessed
because-
for a second there.
yeah, because you didn't have your headphones plugged in. It was like that we were getting like a feedback that sounded like Nicole was an android.
Yeah. Really
You guys all
unsettling,
sounded
but it was
fine
happening
to me.
after me. It was like I was talking and then I was getting my robot android self repeating what I said. I didn't like it.
Well, on my side,
Anyway.
you all sounded wonderful. I didn't notice anything.
Wonderful.
I do think this is where, like Mari's point about, who gets to be messy, like that is very much part of, like, that's intrinsic to the mess here, right? Like, it's
Right.
not just who gets to be messy. That's the point. Like, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And so there's a way in which he gets that and is empathetic to and like an understanding of the source of her mess.
Totally.
So,
Yeah. I think that like what Jordan was saying about, and what people are saying in the chat about, like, maybe him calling her in a little bit would have been nice too, of like, hey, you don't need to
You don't
keep
have to
lying
do
to me
this.
about stuff. Like,
Yeah,
I get it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
but
you're-
maybe stop.
I hear that if he did that and then she kept being a mess, you would hate it even more, because then he
Yes.
deserves better more because he
Yeah,
even
yeah.
tried.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was
it's
more
just-
of like he could have, I felt like, I don't know, there was like a conversation that they could have had about, you don't have to lie, like we could have an honest conversation about whatever is happening here. You don't have to
Yeah.
continue to lie to me about like relatively insignificant things, but
Yeah, and maybe she's still lying at work, but if she's not lying, like, it really was like from a romance perspective where I was like, he can understand, but also the fact that they like never really talk about it until the very end, third act breakup. And it wasn't even, remind me if I'm correct about this, it wasn't even really that like he was breaking up with her for lying. He was breaking up with her for like not wanting to be like public with him, kind of like it was that like, she wanted it to be like not public at work or whatever. Was that the main point of it?
No, it was
It was
the
the
lying.
lying.
It was the lying.
It was mostly the lying. Okay. Okay.
He had a problem with that, but it was the lying that
Yeah,
broke
at the
apart.
very end.
It was a part of the lie.
Yes.
Right, like it was
situation.
all the like, yeah, but it was still like, okay, could they have maybe
was
from a
it
romance
the work
perspective?
lies or like the silly lies?
I think it
What was the
whole
part that
thing.
bothered me, or was the part that bothered him?
Well, I couldn't remember like what the lies were at the end.
Well, because it was all the stuff that got her
of the
fired.
lies. It was the totality. of
Eventually,
the
yeah.
lies.
Eventually, she
Gotcha,
gets
gotcha.
fired and like
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
yeah, it was one of those like, if they could have maybe had a conversation about her dumb lies to him, where he's like, I totally get it, and then she's still lying about work stuff because again, it's like it's not to him, it's about the circumstances, whatever. Like again, that would have made more sense because yeah, there was someone said that like this was the first third act breakup where I was like, don't get back together. That's kind of like, yeah, I need just like more time for some of this to like be rebuilt because it so wasn't addressed through most of it.
She did.
Mhm.
That yeah, but again, I also have a low tolerance for mess and office romances. So
And someone said she deserved to be
Right.
fired, and that is true. She did deserve
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. She deserved to be fired.
I almost feel like it would be more in character if she got fired and then she broke up with him. 'Cause she
right, to
was
be like,
"Oh," and then
right.
scattered, break up with him, and then she like processes everything and then has to win him back
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
because he breaks up with her, But really, he's
Justified.
like been fine with the lies, kind of like not fine, but like he's been tolerant of the lies for a long time.
Yeah.
If she had broken up with him instead, because she's a frazzled mess,
Mhm.
and then she like gets herself together a little bit. She, she gets her cheaper car, she works it out, and then she's like, you know what? I am better now.
Yeah.
I'm more stable.
I'm back to who I was before.
Would you try again with no lies?
Yeah, because
No
she does
lies.
seem
Maybe
like the lies
maybe a little
are
bit.
the lies to him are more out of place of like I feel like I need to prove my circumstances. Like I need to. You're not going to accept me for like where I'm coming from. So I'm not allergic to cats, and I don't live in this area, and I don't have this car. Yeah.
And there being a certain aspect, like, so Mari and I were talking about this book when I was down there visiting last week. And like I get this too. And like Nicole, you're kind of saying the same thing, that like, once you start lying, like the buildup of, well, now you have to keep doing other lies to support the original lie. Like, I do get how that happens. Like, it wasn't unrealistic. It was just like, I hate it. Like, I'm uncomfortable.
I understand it being so deeply unpleasant to read. Like that, I don't. That's like totally fair and valid. But like the lies themselves, like it makes sense. Like the initial lie makes sense, and the snowballing of it, because at the end of the day, she has to, like the initial lie is one that she has to maintain. It is essential that she, because it would blow up her whole life, to lose the original lie, right? So like, the ways in which she because of how garbage her circumstances are, like she has to build the sort of tower of lies on top of that I don't know, to me I found deeply understandable. And she's a mess, but she's my mess. I agree. Firmly. I mean, there's a reason Emma is like my favorite Jane Austen novel. Like the whole thing is you have this protagonist who's like, man, I really messed up. I'm gonna do better next time. And then she does the same stupid thing over and over again before she finally learns her lesson. Because that's how people actually are. Nobody ever learns their lesson the first time. I know it's like in books it's better. Like nobody ever actually learns their lesson right away. Like it just most people do actually need to make a mistake a few times before they're like, okay, I see how this is really bad for my whole life that I keep doing this. I will be better now. So that's why I love a messy queen.
Yeah, there was other elements, like some people were saying that liked how much her friends and family were part of the story. I did like that like community aspect to it, although I will say I know that the brother subplot was there and like the dad stuff, but that almost also felt like there wasn't enough time, because I was like,
what
anytime something was mentioned, like he did something and when he was in jail, he like she was going to use bail money and then he didn't show up to a hearing.
Yeah, she posted. Yes.
And it was her college money. It was money she was supposed to use for college. She used to post bail for him, and he got arrested drunk driving.
So then he never got to, or she never got to get her final degree because she dropped out.
Her money, right. It was like a background thing, but then there was like an additional added, like, instead of just him being like, okay, well, this guy's in jail now, like, he got out, and then he's around, and he has a letter from their dad, and I was like, this is also like a lot that you're not going to get to tie up in this contemporary romance. Like, so maybe
I didn't
like
really
it
have
felt
an
like
issue
the
with that
stack.
as much.
But like so much of the thing is like her, like there's a lot of the like rigidity around to what degree do you believe other people can change, and like there's also like she also has to change. So I don't know.
Yeah, so
I really liked all the family stuff just because that is a theme that I broadly sort of love and appreciate, is the ways in which families sort of project old ideas onto one another, like where the ways in which you are always, there are members of my family who will never not see me as who I was when I was like 15. And like, so there's that dynamic, and you see that playing out with them, and that, I don't know, that also separately is just like a theme that I appreciate in literature. So I enjoyed the way, and particularly given the journey that she has to go on. So this idea of her being like, okay, maybe he did change, and maybe I need to like let some of that go.
What ended up happening with the friend? I don't remember. The brother's friend.
Tito.
Does he
He
do
goes
anything?
to work. He works at the bowling alley
Bowling alley.
Oh, okay.
after he takes over Ember's position.
That makes sense. Okay.
And becomes her fake boyfriend once.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Another
God.
dumb thing.
The one that she doesn't like.
In
and
addition-
won't allow to have dinner with them, but she'll fake date them.
She hates him.
Correct.
Yeah.
But not the
Yeah.
same fake dating from the first time she's at the bowling alley.
No.
Different.
Not Bob or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Bucky. No, her
Bucky.
shirt said Bucky.
Her
It's
nickname was
Leroy.
Bucky.
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Any final thoughts on Ember?
Will you read more of this author?
If she's not writing a mess, and it's not an office romance,
I think you gotta have somebody screen it in advance and tell you
Yes.
if the main character is messy.
yes.
I
A
think it's
certain
also,
level
like-
of messy.
think
Like
I know
she
she
had
has
like
another one coming out.
It's already announced. Yeah, it has a cover. It's called
Yeah,
Love is a War Song.
promising.
It's pretty.
Is it set in an office?
pretty cool.
It sounds like a
Um,
musician. There's like a
Ooh,
musical.
these
it
are
is a
She's
pop
carrying a
star and
guitar, so yeah.
cowboy.
It's what?
Pop star and cowboy.
Love it.
Pop star and
Okay.
cowboy.
Great.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That
think
sounds
that
like
could
two
happen.
people who could have their shit together, maybe.
Yeah.
No.
Are they a mess?
No.
Well, she takes a scandalous photo and then she's like a pop star. And then
Yes.
everyone's like,
That's
God,
not
you're
her
horrible.
being messy. That's the world around her being messy.
Well,
It's
right,
not her
exactly.
fault.
But she has well, I guess everyone's got a mess.
But she escapes
Yeah.
from the like spotlight and goes back to Oklahoma to her estranged grandmother's ranch
Yes.
I can take that.
With the
And
cowboy.
there's a
ranch
cowboy.
romance.
with the cowboy. Yes.
Love it. I love that. Yes. Good. I hope that since Danica keeps writing in Oklahoma, she better give me a fucking storm chaser romance at some point. Girl, if you're listening. I've been begging for a storm chaser romance since
Okay.
Twisters came out.
Uh-huh.
Write it. You're taking up the Oklahoma romances. Let's do
Uh-huh.
it.
Okay.
So
Okay. Great. Love that.
How many Oklahoma romances are you reading?
none, because no one writes them. But because
Right.
there's so many
But
tornadoes in
Danica now
Oklahoma,
is-
they
that's
have
what
to be
it's
storm
setting-
chaser.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Give it to
get
me.
it.
Chasing
She's
the storm.
Mhm.
And he's gonna be the mess in that one.
Yeah.
That's fine. Whatever. Men are a mess.
Yeah.
I say, would you rather have a female mess or a male
Wow,
mess for a main
Sam.
character?
Truly, I'd rather have neither. But like a man that gets whipped into shape by a woman with his mess, love that. Not
Kinda
in
like
a
when they-
emotional
No.
way, but just like I'm gonna
No.
like. You have to, like, oh, now I have to become like better to get to her level because I have her on a pedestal. Yeah, great,
Uh-huh.
love that.
Okay.
That's fine. That's love.
Not a dragging
Um,
up situation. He builds
No,
up. on
no,
his
he
own.
has to climb the ladder. She's pulling him.
There's no
But
rope. She's not
There's
helping
no
him.
there's no coattails for him
Bring-
to get pulled
No,
up.
yeah. Bring back groveling, bring back yearning. Like,
Okay.
come on. Like
Okay.
that's fine. But
Yeah.
again, generally speaking, no mess. No mess.
I don't think like yeah.
Did anybody
Every
listen to the
romance.
audiobook?
I did.
I did.
I liked the audiobook.
Okay.
I did too. It's
Yeah.
I liked the way that she voiced her. I felt like it gave her a bit more like, I don't know.
I think it allowed me also to like fly by like her like
Mess.
neuroticism a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
With
her.
spoken like very conversationally. So I felt
Yeah,
like
yes, which like to me is part of why I was like, yeah, this is just my
'Cause it just
my
kinda-
messiest
my
friend.
internal thoughts.
My
and then just
messiest
having a
friend telling me about
conversation.
her life.
Yes,
Girl, get
yes.
your shit together. But okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
interesting
hearing
too,
about
because
your
I read it and I didn't listen to the audio. So again,
Audio.
Damn.
Did that have an impact? I feel awkward about audio because I think
Because
I'm
sometimes
pretty sure
when they have sexy times, you don't have to listen to it.
I do really hate.
I do hate that.
I do
Yeah,
have to
I
sit
do.
and park.
I don't want it.
I don't want it either. I just want to like
Going to the
skip
gym
it.
until the scene is over.
Skip 30, skip 30, skip 30.
Yeah. Yeah. Turn it up to like 4-speed. Yeah.
Or
no,
really,
I don't
that is
like
actually what I do. Is I just
Yeah.
max.
Please stop. Yeah. 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 All right. Awesome.
Man.
Well, next month our book is the very highly anticipated Sunrise on the Reaping. So House Salt coming back with the Hunger Games stuff. Maybe Nicole join us again.
Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa.
Who's to say?
She's like, I can't make that commitment.
I
at this
know,
point."
that's
Wait.
not.
Who's to say?
Nicole did not know she was a part of this live show until like 15 minutes ago.
Literally,
Yeah.
they were talking about who all, and I was like doing the numbers. I was like, is it just 3 people? I read the books. Do you
Yeah.
I'll jump in.
Yeah. And probably read them again.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, sure.
Do we all think that this one will be better than the last one?
I hope so.
It has to be.
It
I
has
wanna
to
be,
be, right?
Is in hell.
I know.
The bar is in hell.
Yeah.
Who does it? It follows Hamish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hamish's
During his
games.
games. Like, this is a spinoff that I have said I wanted for like 15 years. So I'm going to be really upset if I hate it.
See, okay, but
She's a good
here's the thing.
writer.
If she had just done this in the first place,
Yes.
we would have. It would, but like, I'm
She
like,
broke my trust.
Yes. So
Yes.
now I'm like, okay, all right, girl. Sorry,
Let's see.
Suzanne.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll
She's got to
see.
prove herself all over again.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
the trilogy still stands. It's just like I don't know about all these sequels, prequels, whatever. I'm not trusting that.
Yeah.
So,
The trilogy still stands, but there's a way in which the fucking President Snow book undermines the trilogy that like
Yes.
makes it like sit. I don't know.
Differently in my feels.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yeah,
every
we
time
always risk
someone
that when we
talks
go back
about
to something.
yeah, every time someone talks about Lucy Greyhound in the narrative in the Hunger Games trilogy, I'm like, stop. She wasn't
I'm
supposed to
so
be there.
glad I'm
like,
not on TikTok anymore, if only because it means I never have to see another one of those stupid videos again.
I don't get
got
those
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw so many of them.
because there was a movie, right?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
We did a live show on the movie.
We did a live show about the movie. Yeah.
I wasn't there.
He was
Oh.
like, I'm not showing up.
I thought we were
said,
all there for
Miss
that.
me with that one.
Yeah.
I was in an airport. I was like listening. I remember I had my phone open while I was at baggage control listening to you guys talk about this movie. I still haven't seen this movie. I had no desire to, but
You shouldn't. It's fine. It's
I
fine.
want to.
All right. Join us next time for Hunger Games. Will we like it or not? Will
Yes.
Nicole be here or not? We don't. Lots of mysteries. So join us at the end of this month, hopefully / beginning of April. You will know when you know.
Yes.
You will know when we know. Because we don't
do
know.
not know.
We never know.
People are always asking, like, did I miss the live show? I'm like, girl, I did too. Like, we don't know when it's gonna be. Like, do not ask us about time.
Oftentimes it's like a
The live show appears when you least expect it.
Today was like a
just around the corner. You just go around a corner. There she is.
No!
There's a live show.
oh that'll be next month. We'll announce the next 3.
Well, I also have them in the description up
Oh,
until
that's
June.
right.
They're
Um,
announced.
I forgot we already
actually.
decided.
Do
You
we
can
have
look right now.
Do we have an April book? Did we decide?
Yeah.
We sure do. It's your book, baby. I'm pretty sure. Wild Dark Shore.
This is how information.
Very
This is a good reflection.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gotten more
Wild Dark
chaotic
Shore is
over time.
April. May is Great Big Beautiful Lies, another romance. Emily Henry, and then June is Bare Bones in the Night Soil. B. Schwab.
Is that a standalone?
Yeah.
By V. Schwab?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I think it might be.
Who knows? It will. They'll say it's a standalone, and they'll be like, "Just kidding. It's serious."
It's actually
That's
in
what
this
happens.
universe. Yeah.
So who knows?
Sure.
We don't know. Right now, it is.
Right.
So cool. All right. Thanks, friends. See you when we see you.
Yes.